Make them wait any longer. How y'all doing? This is like a random day of the week live. We have been super busy, and along with farm stuff, we have been decluttering the house, and so I haven't been able to stay on a midweek live like I wanted to. And so I guess a Friday live today is just going to have to do, and then hopefully, Lord's willing, we can do another live Sunday. But we'll let a few people get on here. If anybody wants to pop in and say hello, leave a comment, that would be fantastic. Hey, Chastity's on here. But I appreciate everybody that shows up to these lives. I know that you're literally taking time out of your evening to look at my face, which is, which is really sweet of you all. It's going good. Are you all doing okay? I tell you what, I have enjoyed the warm up. I hope everybody else has been getting the warm weather that we've been getting. I actually got to, when I was working today, I got to take layers off. Yeah, I have my hair down. It's very rare that I wear it down. I had it in a braid today. I had it in a braid and had this hat on. And I just took my braid out. Yeah, I've got it down. Hold on, I'll show you because I'm sure you're probably interested. It probably looks ratty. But here's my hair. That's how long it is. Can you see it? There it is. In all of its glory. This is why I don't wear it down. Because it's way down here. It's longer than my hands are. So, that's why I don't wear my hair down. It's a lot to manage. Chastity talks about long and pretty. Her hair is curly and thick and comes way down. Her hair is much longer than mine. She has beautiful hair. The Lord blessed her with beautiful hair. My hair is long, fine, and stringy, and it's not pretty when it's down. So I don't wear it down. It's also really hard to maintain when it's down. Yeah. Me and Andy were talking about that the other day. He had just cut his hair. He had just cut his hair, and he talked about how light, and just, it can make you feel. Long hair, can definitely cause headaches. And so, especially if it's something that you're not used to. Thank you, but your hair is every bit as pretty as mine. Mine ain't pretty unless it's fixed. Hello, mine's naturally frizzy. Mine looks frizzy right now. It's usually just flat though. Yeah, long hair can cause headaches. And there's certain ways that you can wear your hair to manage for it not to cause headaches. I wasn't raised Pentecostal, and so majority of my life I actually kept my hair short, which obviously that's not something that I would do now. But but now it's different to maintain it. But believe it or not, I've been growing my hair out for, I don't know, maybe about 11 years. Maybe about 11 years. Before I got saved, before I became a Christian, I started growing my hair out. And I think that before I got saved, I think I trimmed it one time, but that was the only time that I've had scissors in my hair in recent years, in like the last 10, 11, 12 years. But I mean, like I said, obviously I don't cut my hair now, but it took a long time for my hair to get the length that it is. And I know that a lot of people, when they, let their hair get long and stuff, that they can have issues with headaches and things like that. And the way that I've found to manage that is to put my hair on top of my head. I know a lot of times, you all have seen, if you watch my videos, you've seen me wear my hair on the top of my head. But I also feel like I've just gotten used to it. I've just gotten used to the weight of my hair. But also, that being said, my hair is very fine and light. Compared to a lot of people's hair. Lakin obviously has not had a haircut either, and her hair is very thick and heavy and dense and curly. And so as she gets older, we'll have to figure out ways for her hair to be comfortable. But the Bible speaks of our hair being special to women. The Bible speaks of it being our glory, and I think that it's every bit of that. And the Lord gives us different things in our lives that we can either how do I want to say this? He gives us things in our lives that we have to bear to make us stronger people. And being honest, Kenzie, not have you wrong, your hair is probably longer than mine because I backslid and got down mad. Oh, well, I didn't know you had. He gives us things that we have to bear. And although the Bible speaks of our hair being our glory, sometimes things that sometimes things blessings that the Lord gives us sometimes are things we also have to bear. And you were talking about her hair giving her headaches. I'm not at any place to talk about that. I'm not going to judge anybody. And so I don't want to come off judgmental like that. The only reason why I say that is because my hair, for me, myself, can be very cumbersome, and can be hard to deal with at times. And a lot of people know our biblical reasons. A lot of people know why we don't cut our hair. Hello, how are you doing? A lot of people know why we don't cut our hair. Oliver, I just let you out. You're not doing that. Come on. He can't stand when he's not getting attention. A lot of people know the biblical reasons as to why we don't cut our hair. But I like that in the Bible that it talks about a woman's hair being her glory, because I feel like that's something special that the Lord has given us as women. And you can talk to anyone, whether they've grown their hair out or not, whether they've, they cut their hair, or all of those things. Rather women do anything with their hair. If you talk to a woman, hair is so important, and I think that's because the Lord gave it to us to be our glory, to be something that's very special to us. For men, majority of men, hair is not very special to them. But if you talk to any woman, especially women that have had problems with alopecia, which is like a hair loss, I don't know if it's a disease or a condition. You talk to women that have lost their hair through battling some type of cancer and having to be on chemo. It's a lot harder for them to lose their hair. It's a big part of them. And so, although my hair is cumbersome, I think about that a lot when it comes to reasons as to why I grow my hair out, because the Lord said that it was a woman's glory. And so instead of complaining about it, I just learned how to manage it. So that's my big my big thing about that. I don't want it to I obviously don't want to try to push my beliefs when it comes to the Bible about hair. I don't even want to get into that, but I do love that God set that aside for us, for us women, that He told us that our hair was our glory, and that makes it special. That He took the time to write it down, to let us know, that it's very special. That's very special to me. And so, although, like I said, it can be cumbersome, it can be hard to deal with, I don't wear it down a lot because there's so much of it. I am thankful for it, and I can't imagine how hard it is for some women, in situations where they have, alopecia, or have to take, chemo and lose their hair. I can't imagine how hard that is for them. And just in general, all the things that those people have to endure. Not just the hair loss, but just in general, what they have to endure. And I my heart aches for them. Not just the hair, but the whole situation. It just aches for them. But that's a lot. That's a lot in the beginning of this live to talk about. I've been talking about hair for the last 12 minutes. But yeah, it's a wonderful thing, and I thank the Lord for it. But let's get to talking about farming. Let's get to talking about farming. For those of you on here, how is the weather where you're at? Because we went from negatives and snow on the ground to the very next day not being in negatives, being in the higher temperatures, and rain. We have no snow. It is all wet. Everything is wet. It rained before we got our snow. Then it snowed, and then it rained. I don't want to tell you all wrong. I'm thinking they were predicting around 3, 4, 5 inches of rain, and we got every bit of it, guys. It is a soupy, that's what we call it, a soupy mess. It is like a soup bowl at the farm, and like when you walk, it's like, and the problem with that is that the farm is on clay soil. So it's not only muddy in the pens, but it's just muddy in general, and the water has nowhere to go. And so it is super wet, but I am adoring. It was 53 degrees today. It got super warm. I got to take my extra layers off. I had like a flannel button up and then a button up on. And I got to take those off while I was working. I just got to work in, like a t-shirt, which was awesome. 51, but chilly. Wind is no sun. Yeah, we haven't got no sun either. 50 and rain and soggy. Yeah, yeah. Soggy is a good way to describe it. It is very soggy and wet, and we got just a little bit of sun today. Just a little bit of sun for like a short period of time when we were heading out to the farm. And I thought, I hope the sun lasts. But it didn't. And it started sprinkling a little bit while I was trying to work. I've got a video coming out, hopefully tomorrow, if I can get it edited tonight to post tomorrow if it downloads. Should be up tomorrow. If it's not, hopefully, Lord's willing, it'll be up in the next couple days. But I worked on the rabbit, the rabbit room today in the barn, getting all that hay up. If you all watched the last video, I just took all that hay out of the cages and just threw it on the ground with all the rest of the hay. And so I had to clean that up today. And I was trying to get it out there while it wasn't raining. That's why it didn't get put out. See, because I made that video. Let me see. I posted it the day before yesterday, and I made that video the day before that. So it's been, yes, it'll be very good compost. It's been, let me see. It's been like 3 days. 3 days since I cleaned those out, and that hay's just been sitting because it's been raining and it's been pouring. Not really any breaks. So I haven't been able to actually take it outside because it's just, I don't want to stand in the rain and do that. And it was a lot of hay. But I got it done, and it feels so clean in there. Now the barn itself is so dirty. I trash everywhere. I don't know how trash gets piled up in the barn. I don't know. It gets so dirty and like just bags everywhere. A lot of it is the feed bags. The feed bags just take over the barn because of that area that's our feed room. We, like either burn them or we have to wait till trash pickup, and we don't want to like put all of that in the trash, like it would overflow if we put it in the actual trash pickup. And so a lot of times we burn them, or we have to wait and let them add up and then load the truck up and take them to the dump. So that piles up in there, and then it just makes it such a mess. And I can't work in a messy space. Like I walk in there and I don't know. It drives me nuts. A messy barn drives me nuts. It's like walking into a dirty house. Like you can't relax in a dirty house. So I can't relax in a dirty barn. So what I did, I cleaned up all the hay, and then hopefully tomorrow, Lord's willing, or the next couple of days, I can get that all that trash and stuff out of there. Hopefully we can burn a few things. I think it's supposed to rain again tomorrow, so I don't know if we'll actually be able to burn it. But I would love to. I would love to get it cleaned out of there and get that done. But we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see what all we can get done. But I did get the hay out, and then once I got the hay out, I wasn't stressed, and I got to get my bunnies out and love on them and cuddle them a little bit and just kind of work with them, and just hold them and stuff. Hopefully this coming week as well, the grow outs have hit 12 weeks this week. I think the 24th or 25th, they hit 12 weeks, so they'll be ready to process. But what I did, for those of you that know, when we have babies, of the grow out, see, that's what I was getting ready to say. No, all the babies did not sell. So I had five of the baby bunnies, the grow outs, and I posted them one more time on my rabbit page, and on Facebook to the Facebook friends, and I said last chance. They're probably going to be, we'll probably process them next week. So if anybody wants one, here they are. So I'm going to give them one last chance. Obviously, to have the money in my pocket is a perk, but we don't necessarily need them. I can put them in the freezer. But I don't care either way. Honestly, I don't care if they sell, or I don't care. I don't care if all 5 of them sell and I don't have any rabbit to put in the freezer this batch, or if none of them sell and, we can put them in the, so the grow outs, the grow outs are the 5 babies, out of Pipsqueak and Clover that did not sell. There's 4 bucks and a doe. Lakin wants to keep the doe. I haven't decided whether I want to keep the doe or not. And then at one point in time, she wanted to keep one of the brown ones that she named Rue. But as of now, there's 5 of them. I don't necessarily want to keep any of them. I thought maybe I would want to keep the doe to replace Pipsqueak, since we will be processing her as well. But I don't know. So we've got the 12-week-old grow outs. And it was like all of a sudden I was like, oh, they're not really growing that well. But this week, for whatever reason, they've like, they look good. So, I thought maybe that we would have to let them go a little bit longer. Obviously, if we process them next week, they'll be 13 weeks, along with Pipsqueak. So if I process all 5 of them, if I don't keep the one doe, and I process all 5 of them and Pipsqueak, I'll have 6. I'll have a larger doe and then the 4 bucks and the one doe. But like I said, we might possibly keep the with the one grow out doe, just to have for a backup meat doe to replace Pipsqueak. So we'll just have to see. No, no, I'm not keeping any of Pipsqueak's babies. Actually, let me see. I'm trying to think. Two of the bucks that are grow outs are Pipsqueaks. Two of the other bucks are, okay, 2 of the bucks are Pipsqueaks that were growing out, and the other 3 are clovers. So the doe is clovers, the 2 brown are clovers, and then there's like a reddish brown and a red and white spotted buck in there, and he looks very similar to their dad that I sold, Rover, and he is out of Pipsqueak, and I'm not keeping any of Pipsqueak's. After we had her issues with her behaviors, we can't do Pipsqueak's babies, and I wouldn't keep a doe out of her, just because of that. A lot of Pipsqueak's babies passed away. There wasn't many of them left, and I'm trying to think. Wasn't many of them left, and some of them sold at 8 weeks. And some of them sold at 8 weeks, and a lot of them died. What? Andy, are you in here?
I am.
Will you let him out? I don't know what his deal. I just let him out before I started a live. He always barks when I do the lives, and it's not because I don't let him go potty. It's like he sees it. Have you ever heard moms talk about, like, every time they get on the phone, their kids are in the background, like, acting like wild banshees? That's him. That's what he does. He acts like a wild banshee when I get on the live. I have no clue why, but that's what he does. So, and then poor little Lakin has to hop. I feel bad. She has to hop up and down, letting him out. But that's just what it is. But I'm super excited about getting that barn clean, getting all that hay out of that, and I'm looking forward to this weather. This I think it's supposed to stick around for a little bit, and then they were giving us a possibility of the rain turning into snow again later on this week. But that's what's going on. Has anybody got any questions to ask or anything they want to discuss? Has anybody started their seeds for their garden? Because I'm curious what everybody is growing this year. And I haven't been able to make it through my seed catalogs like I wanted to. I haven't had a moment, it seems, to just actually sit down and go through my seed catalogs and mark everything off. I definitely want to try to get a hold of some loofah seeds this year. If anybody in this live has ever grown loofahs before, let me know, because I want to know. I want to know everything about them, because I haven't grown them before. And I'm curious. And then me and Daisy Q had talked about in the comments about doing potatoes and hay. My father-in-law, Ricky, likes to do the potatoes and hay. Andy and my mother-in-law, Gina, likes them in the ground. I typically, I don't care either way. So I'll eat them out of the ground, or I'll eat them out of the hay. The hay was something that I tried last year. My father-in-law had done it the year before, and he really likes growing things in hay. He likes it. And I think the main reason why if you are, for one, if you live in a really clay soil or a not so good soil, in my mind, I think of the hay and the straw and planting in hay and the straw, it being a little bit better than planting in your poor soil. That's one thing about it where we grow in two different types of soil. Here at our home, we have really, 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 really good soil. At the farm, it's straight clay. You can dig way, like it's clay, and then you start getting deeper, and you're in rock. There's no good type of soil in between. There's no good soil on the top. It's mostly the area actually grows a lot of just weeds. And so, you got to maintain your yards. You got to keep up with stuff like that. You got to, put your seed out for your horses and stuff. Our pastures and things have a lot of clover and things like that because we had to, seed our pastures because the soil is so bad. But we have worked really hard and added a lot of compost to the soils over the last couple years. And we have a few good spots in the garden that we've worked really hard with. Mainly the areas where we had the potatoes. There is definitely places and patches that's going to need a lot of work. If you watched our video of us plowing the garden up a few months back, we added to the garden on both sides. So we have our garden split up into 3 sections. There's the front section where we plant peppers, tomatoes. There's strawberries in there. I think they got dug up though. I don't think we'll have any strawberries this year. They didn't do very good. But peppers, tomatoes, and green beans is what we had in the front garden. That garden goes this way. The garden that goes this way, we planted potatoes, corn, and cucumbers. Now, on the other side of the garden that goes this way, we have garden beds, raised beds that go this way. They have the berries in them. So there's three, what is it called? Raised beds. One of the raised beds, we planted onions. It had a bunch of stuff in it. Onions, lettuce, cabbage towards the end of the year. And I can't remember if there was anything else in that one. That one's just kind of like it's a larger bed that we built out of railroad ties. And it is full of horse manure and hay in the bottom of it. And then on top of that, we piled the soil that we bought and had brought to the farm. And it is a sandy soil that comes from the bottoms of the lake, they take them out of the lake somehow. They, I guess, sift the soil, and then it's got a lot of sand in it. It's a very sandy soil. We didn't know that it was a sandy soil until it was brought and bought to the farm. And so we filled the other 2 beds, the ones that we had berries in, and the berries, what all do we have? Strawberries. One of them is nothing but strawberries. But when they planted the strawberries, they were about this big, and so we had onions in between the strawberries, and maybe radishes. We grew but now the strawberries have, taken over the raised beds. And then in the other bed, I think there's blueberries, blueberries, and raspberries. One of the raspberry plants got a type of fungus or mold on it. Rust mold. I can't remember what it was. It's something rust. It was like an orangey red color. Got on it. And so one of the blueberries had to be ripped up. Sorry guys, I gotta put my hair up. One of the blueberries had to be ripped up. And then, so all that to say that our best bed is, um, our best area, our best soil is where the potatoes were at and the tomatoes. Last year, we've got a video on it where we took horse manure and we put it in those potatoes, the potato area where the potatoes were at, and we put it where the tomatoes were at. So this year we're going to focus we're going to focus more on the areas that haven't been heavily composted or haven't had heavy compost on them. And there's quite a few areas that need heavy compost on them. The areas that we expanded the garden with, so there's 2 areas that we expanded the garden by like 3 to 4 to 5 rows in some spots. That's going to need some heavy compost. It's going to take a while. I'm prepared for it to take a while for the soil to be where it needs to be. And it's going to take a lot of work. It's taken a lot of work to get the areas where it is at. And I was concerned. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Me and Andy weren't really too excited about getting, love the tractor, but weren't really excited about having somebody come and till it up. It was my father-in-law's idea, and it's his land, so we just let him do whatever. But my concern is the work that we put in, the compost that we put into the soil, the aeration we put in the soil, all the work that we did. I'm scared that it's going to be erased, mostly because we're going to be digging. They dug that old clay soil and put it back on top. And so we're really going to have to heavily compost and really try to work on that soil. Now, we do have the rabbit manure that we're going to be able to add. Lakin? Yeah. He's at the door. We do have the rabbit manure that I can be adding on to the soil fresh. If you don't know, we have hot compost and we have non-hot compost. I don't really know the separation. I haven't really watched a video on it, but rabbit manure is not hot. So we can add it directly to the garden and it's not going to burn anything up. Now, if you added chicken manure without allowing time for it to compost, it will burn your plants up because of the urine in their fecal matter. It just burns things up. Same thing with the horse manure. We had to be careful with the horse manure because horses pee where they poop. And it's very high acidic. It's very high. And it'll burn your plants up very quickly if you don't dilute it in some way. And so when we directly put horse manure into the garden, we don't directly sow right into the horse manure after it has been planted. We put the horse manure in it. We break the soil up. We run the tiller through it. We get it down in the soil. We aerate the soil. Shoo, how much to it? How did you learn all this stuff? I don't know, Chastity. I have no clue. I just did. I just learned all this stuff. I don't know. But we don't plant directly down into the horse manure because it'll eat it up. But with the rabbit manure, we will be able to put it directly into the garden and not have any issues. I could literally take rabbit poop. I could plant a tomato and put rabbit poop next to that plant and wouldn't have any issues with it because it doesn't cause any problems when it comes to eating up the plant. Okay, let me see. Haven't grown loofahs, but last year started and we're too big in May, so we'll wait till March. Oh, are you talking about starting your seeds? Yeah, I really want to. When you do that, do you all have a frost date? I'm not really familiar with the warmer areas. I'm not really... See, we have like a frost date. Do you all get frost? That probably sounds like a stupid question. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Let me see. hold on. Somebody has messaged me. Okay. Mother's Day. Okay. See, we plant on Good Friday. We plant our potatoes. I don't really know why. I don't know if that's an Appalachian thing. I feel like it's an Appalachian thing, like just to plant your potatoes on Good Friday. But that's when we do it. That's the earliest we put anything in the ground. But I want to do cabbage earlier. I have done a lot of well, I don't want to lie. I haven't done a lot of research. I've done some research, not a lot. I've done some research, not a lot. Hold on. This girl's going to message me a bunch. I've done some research, but not a lot. But for whatever reason, in our region, everybody thinks that cabbage is a summer plant. And I kept telling Andy, I don't think that cabbage is a summer plant. And then I told his mother-in-law, and she thought I was nuts. My mother-in-law, she said, we've always grew cabbage in the summertime. I don't see how it's a winter plant. And people were like questioning me like I was crazy. And I kept saying, no, I believe that cabbage it's a fall crop. Like it's a fall into winter. It's not a summer crop. And the main reason why is because trying to keep bugs off of cabbage in the summertime is impossible. Impossible. We've never been able to keep bugs off of cabbage in the summertime. And I thought, well, I mean, we don't have the same amount of bugs in the fall. We don't have bugs in the wintertime. Why are we not growing cabbage in the wintertime? So, I want to grow cabbage in the spring. I want to plant cabbage in the spring. And see, it's a hardy crop. It's a winter crop. But for whatever reason in our area, it's not considered a winter crop. I don't know anybody in our area, or you don't drive past gardens in our area and they've got cabbage out in the spring or the wintertime. Everybody wants to grow it in the summer, and your chances of being able to harvest all the cabbage that you've grown in the summer are little to none unless you put a bunch of chemicals on them. We have not found any way to keep the bugs off of them. They literally demolish them. But last summer I left heads of cabbage that got demolished by bugs in my garden. I didn't touch them because they got demolished. I didn't touch them. I like to have my cabbage heads hard. So yeah, people, and I've seen people grow them in covering hoops. I've seen that. But I feel like if we did them in the springtime, late-ish spring, a little bit of frost is not gonna hurt your cabbage. It's just the heavy frost. And so, from my understanding, so I'm thinking that if I grew them in the springtime or the late fall, see, we don't have, frost usually doesn't hit our area until late November, like around Thanksgiving. We don't get a frost until around that area. And so I'm growing tomatoes, cabbage, corn's usually done, but tomatoes and cabbage I am growing, and it's producing in the garden in late November until the frost. I leave everything out there until the frost hits it. Usually you can catch me out there right before the frost comes, picking those green tomatoes off the plants, because I want to get as much life out of them. But the cabbage is fine. It's fine. And so what happened was this summer we had a bunch of bugs get all over our cabbage. It ruined it. And some of them had the heads broke off of them. I think Andy broke the heads off of them, or something happened. And if you've ever broke the head off a cabbage and left the plant in, it will come off with different shoots. And so by late fall, we had cabbages that were starting to be that big in the late fall. And so I'm thinking, as big of a surprise it is to everybody in our area, in our region, that don't believe that cabbage is a fall and winter crop, I'm thinking that cabbage needs to be grown in the fall and maybe the spring. in our area and not the summer, because if I'm going to take the time to plant something, if I'm going to take the time to tend to something, I want to actually eat it. I don't want to have to tend to it all summer and allow it to take space up in my garden and not be able to eat it. And so if I can talk Andy into it, they think I'm nuts. I don't know. They think I'm crazy. But it sounds crazy. But if I can convince him that we can plant cabbage in the springtime, and maybe it'll be okay, then maybe we'll be able to have cabbage, better cabbage this year without all kinds of worms in it. Because cabbage is just not something that we can keep the worms out of in the summertime. So we'll just have to see. But I definitely want to try to grow loofahs this year. I'm also thinking about growing more flowers in the garden this year. Not actually in the physical garden. I think they're beautiful in the garden. You can plant cabbage in September here. See, that's what I'm thinking. Arc Wildman, y'all are mildly kind of close to how you're close enough to Kentucky. Or your temperature is kind of the same as ours, from what I understand. In your area, what time of year do you all grow cabbage? You said September. Do you just grow it in the fall? That's my question. Because I don't want to grow cabbage in this summertime anymore. It's too hard to make it survive. So when do you all grow cabbage? What is the typical time that you all grow cabbage, and what time of year? Because I want to try something different. But I also want to grow more flowers this year, and be able to offer when we sell produce and stuff, be able to offer some bouquets. I plant in February and September. Okay. That's what I needed to know, and it does well. Do you have any problems with like bugs getting on them in February and September? Because I'm guessing your answer is probably no. In our area, for whatever reason, everybody thinks they need to grow it in August and have it in the summer garden, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work in the summer garden. The bugs just tear up our cabbage. Do you when you say February and September, are you seed starting, or are you planting directly in the ground? You do onions and potatoes in late February. That's interesting. See, I've done a video. We probably wouldn't have been able, as bad as the winter has been. Plants. Okay, so you're okay. Awesome. We in years past, we didn't do it this year because we didn't grow. We had so much problems with bugs getting inside of our potatoes and in our hills this year that we didn't do it. But we've left potatoes in the ground to winter. In our soil, we can leave them in the ground all winter as long as we hill them up really well. Let the green part die and hill them up really well. We can dig potatoes out of the ground to eat. So if we wanted a mess of potatoes, we just go out to the garden in the wintertime, rake the snow back or rake the dirt back, get our potatoes and bring them in the house and cook them. That's interesting that you plant them in February. Do you plant potato plants in the summer? Like in your summer garden, or just in February? I'm learning more. I'm learning different ways of planting in the garden. The thing about our area is people just do what their parents did, and that's perfectly okay. I'm perfectly okay with like following, like following what your parents did. But if your parents did it wrong, um, and it's been proving to do better a different way, then why not do it a different way? You can do a fall crop, but I just do a spring. Okay. Yeah, see, I was telling Daisy Q that we plant our potatoes on Good Friday. That's just when that's the traditional time. So we plant potatoes Good Friday. It doesn't we don't do it. It's the tradition is to plant it on Good Friday. We usually try to get around that time. It depends on whether it has rained, whether we can actually get them in the ground, because obviously you don't want to put the potato plants down in a puddle of water that deep. And if you are in clay soil, you're probably going to have a puddle of water that deep for it to drain. So we plant our potato plants around Good Friday. It's typically when we plant them. Although I think that it is a good idea to do fall potatoes, because I've been able to experience being able to overwinter potatoes in the ground. A common thing in our area that you hear people talk about when they were talking about old timers, what they would do is dig a hole in the ground, line it with newspaper. So dig a hole, I don't know about that deep, I guess. Line it with newspaper, put straw on top of the newspaper, put the potatoes down in the straw, and then cover the potatoes with more straw, newspaper, and then cover the hole up. And then they would mark the hole, and when they wanted a mess of potatoes, they would go out, dig that, uncover the hole, you get their potatoes out, and that's how they would keep their potatoes. And so my chair just about give out on me. So we just kept them in the ground. And before recently, only the last couple years, we haven't had real mild winters, but before we had pretty mild winters, and so I'm struggling. So it was easier to keep them in the ground. And so, I don't know. I like the traditional way of gardening. That's a big part of the way that I do things, or try to do things, is close to close to Appalachian way. But I think that it would be a lot easier, especially with cabbage, to grow them in the much cooler months, than to grow them in the summertime, where we have a lot of problems with things getting in the cabbage. Worms are really bad to get in the cabbage, and so I don't know. But like I said, this year we're really gonna have to amend our soil quite a bit. And honestly, I'm worried about us having to when we retilled the ground, that we undid all the work that we did. So that would be extremely unfortunate if that's the case. But I need to get started now on. I've been really lazy about it. It's mostly because I haven't really had it hardly any time. But I need to start putting more work into getting more compost into the garden, and trying to work that in the soil. Like I said, we expanded the garden quite a bit, which means that we'll be able to add more plants, but also means it's going to be that much more work. Yes, sand is good in the soil. Too much sand, though, can cause issues. So this is the issue that we found. In the raised beds, we put just the sandy soil. We mixed in manure, but not enough. We mixed in, I've got the video on there, and I kind of explain what we're putting in the raised beds, but we used a lot of sandy soil from river bottoms. And the strawberries love it. The strawberries absolutely did wonderful with it. And the berries do okay with it. Here's the problem. It's too much sand. So you want a good balance, a good ratio of sand, um, and I don't really know much about soil to like just sit here and explain it to you. I just know what's in my mind, and I don't know how to explain it. You do need sand. You also need other things though, because the problem with the soil that we have is it doesn't drain. It's sand and clay mix because we are a clay soil, and so yeah. He said clover makes a good cover crop and adds nitrogen back. Yes. Yeah, it would be too late for us now to add a cover crop. Ark Wildman, I don't know if you've seen our video, but here recently, I think it was in December, I might be wrong, but we expanded our garden and we had a tiller run through the garden. And so we're going to have to amend the soil quite a bit and add nitrogen and all kinds of stuff back into it. Not to get off subject, Daisy Q, you do want sand in your soil, but you want other things besides sand to kind of allow the soil to drain. The soil that we use, it's definitely going to be good for the raised beds, but we're going to have to mix in some other soil in it that's going to allow the water to drain through. But your strawberries love sandy soil, and the strawberries have done extremely well. And the berries, the raspberries are doing great. But the blueberries got the fungus on them, and it was because the soil was not draining. It was staying really wet. And so we need to add soil that's going to allow the water to drain through the raised beds, and be able to, give the plants a break from from all the water saturation. Raised beds are really, really good in our area. No, we don't grow beets. I'm not a beet fan. I don't know about everybody else. We grow a large garden on the farm because we feed. How many people do we feed out of that garden? 7 people eat out of that garden. 7 people, and then everybody else that we give all our stuff to. But I don't know if they like beets. Yeah. Yeah, we could do that. Love pickled beets. I'm trying to think if anybody likes beets. We grow radishes, which are, a similar type of thing to beets. But no, I don't know if anybody likes beets. I'm trying to think. My father-in-law might like beets. He likes pickled things like that. He likes pickled everything, I think. Most things he likes are pickled. But no, I don't know. I don't know. I'd say they would be beautiful. Hello. I'd say that they would be beautiful canned up though. I'm sure you can can beets. I'd say that they would look gorgeous on a pantry shelf. Now, if you liked them, then they would be. Yeah. Yeah, see, we've got goat manure, we've got horse manure, we've got chicken manure, we've got rabbit manure, so we have no shortage of poo-poo that we can add to the garden this year. So we're just going to have to work. I'm going to have to put in the time is what it is. I'm going to have to make time to be able to get out in the garden and add the manure and the things that go with it. Our main issue is that our 4-wheeler is down right now, and the manure that we have to go get is quite a distance to have to carry, and our garden is so large that me pushing that little wheelbarrow to the garden that's full of manure is going to be a lot of work, which I'm not scared of work. But it would go a lot faster if we were able to be, our four-wheeler was in working condition. It was working just fine, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. And so we haven't been able to use it. And last year we used our what's it called? It's a wheelbarrow that attaches to the four-wheeler. Hello. It's a wheelbarrow that attaches to the four-wheeler, and then we would drag, we would put our manure in it. And I've got videos of it. We would put our manure, bring our manure to the garden. And so it's just going to be hard, and I think that's why I've been putting it off, because it's going to be a lot of work without the four-wheeler, and I don't think we're going to be able to get the four-wheeler going up anytime soon. They've added parts to it and changed parts on it, and it's just not it. And so that's unfortunate. I love eggplant, crookneck squash, pepper, tomatoes in my summer garden. In our summer garden, we usually grow pole beans, some type of bush bean, which usually is aroma. We grow tomatoes, cannon tomatoes, and then cannon tomatoes, so like your Amish paste. Last year we grew, what were they called? Oh, I better not forget the name of those. I've done forgot. Health Kick. We are in Kentucky. We grew, trying to think. Oh, the Health Kick tomatoes. Health Kick tomatoes. We tried for the first time last year the Oxheart tomatoes, and I'd heard really good things about the Oxheart. Purple hull peas, too. We're not pea people. We're not pea people, which is funny because we're green bean people. But we're not pea people. Anywho, what else? We usually grow like cherry tomatoes for snacking. I'm not a tomato snacker. A lot of, like Andy and my mother-in-law, will pick a tomato off the plant and just snack right on it. And I don't do snacking. I don't do snacking on tomatoes. I like them in stuff. I love them in salad. I love them in pasta. I love all that. I love canned, but I just can't eat a tomato. Cucumbers, yeah, cucumbers. I'm trying to think. We grew so much last year. Okay. Cantaloupe, watermelon, different types of pole beans. We grew bush beans. Different types of tomatoes, like plate tomato, cherry tomatoes, good eating tomatoes, cannon tomatoes, onions, radishes, strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, cucumbers, potatoes. Okra, yep, and okra. We grew okra. What else am I forgetting? Onions. Did I say onions? Yes. How do you eat your okra? I seen somebody eating it fresh the other day. They were dipping it and eating it fresh. And the only way that I've ever had it is like sauteed with other veggies, or fried. I don't think I could eat it fresh. I think the texture would be, I don't know. I think the texture would be too much. So how do you eat it, Ark? Deep fry, yeah. Deep fried is, yes. Fried, pickled, wife likes it boiled. I've never had it pickled. Something that my mother-in-law was going to make this year was pickled okra. And she didn't. She had put some up and froze them. to make pickled, but she never got to it, which is unfortunate because I really wanted to try. I guess it would be crunchy pickled, right? If you pickle it, it'd be crunchy. So maybe I would eat it crunchy. Maybe I would like it. I don't know. I'm weird about textures. That is why I can't eat like a cherry tomato off the plant because of the texture. It's a texture thing, and I just can't. I can't do it. But maybe I would like. Maybe I'd like pickled okra. I don't know. I wanted to try it. If she would have made it, I would have tried it, but she didn't have the chance to make it, so I wasn't able to try it. To add to the garden this year, cabbage. We grew cabbage. We grew lettuce. Asparagus. Well, we planted asparagus. We planted asparagus, and of course, it was our first year, so we didn't get any asparagus this year. But I think something happened to the plants, so we don't have asparagus anymore. I'm trying to think. Hold on. Woo! Bless me. I'm trying to think of what else we grew. Corn. I knew there was things that I was forgetting. Corn. Corn didn't do good at all. Thank you. God bless you. Corn didn't do good at all. First off, we made a mistake, and we planted it too close together. It would have done better if we wouldn't have planted it so close together. Me and my mother-in-law planted it. The boys told us, y'all are planting it way too close together. And we were like, oh, well, we'll pull it out once it grows. Well, we pulled it out. We thinned it out some, and we should have thinned it out a lot more than what we thinned it out. And so it didn't do as well, but we did get a little bit of corn off of it. I guess our garden is... our garden at the farm, I'm trying to think. Maybe a half an acre. Maybe a half an acre is about what our garden is at the farm. And then here at our home, I have what I call my kitchen garden, where when I'm at home, obviously cooking, that I can just go out there and get stuff out of my kitchen garden. And my kitchen garden consists of corn, peppers, and green beans, radishes, garlic, and onion. But I didn't grow no onion last year, and I didn't grow any garlic last year. But I planted garlic in the fall so that we could have it in the spring. And so I will have, Lord's willing, I will have some garlic in the garden this year. I cook with a lot of garlic. If you watch my videos, no, we don't. Mostly because we don't grow enough onions to. That's another goal this year, is to grow enough onions for us to have all winter long. And that's what I was getting ready to say. I cook, if you watch my cooking videos, I cook with a lot of pepper and a lot of onion, and a lot of garlic. And so I want to grow. My goal over the next couple years is to grow enough, which I grew enough peppers this year. Well, I said I grew enough peppers. I need to grow a few more peppers, but I think I've got enough that's going to last me for a few months more. But I did put up like over 15 5-gallon bags of peppers. Yeah. See, that's the thing, is we haven't been able to grow. We haven't had enough space to grow enough garlic, onion, to be able to last us throughout the winter. So we eat it fresh, but we haven't grown any any thus far to be able to make it. Yeah, I never made it a point to grow garlic the way that I wanted to grow it. But I want to be more what's the word? I'm trying to think of the word that I'm wanting to use. It's complete. I'm drawing a complete blank. I want to be more vigilant about growing enough garlic and enough onions. I guess I was just satisfied with it being, like fresh eating, and then just having a few going into after our frost date. But I definitely want to grow. Ark Wildman, have you ever grew the Walla Walla onions? I've heard a lot about Walla Walla onions, and where we eat a lot of onion, I want to try to get the most bang for my buck. And so I'm curious, or Daisy Q, I think you're on here. If anybody on here has ever grew Walla Walla onions, what is your honest review on Walla Walla onions? I know they're going to take up more space. They're going to have more room for their bulbs to grow. But I'm not satisfied no longer with little tiny bulbs. I want to grow a good Texas Super Sweets. Man, I wish I had a piece of paper. Texas Super Sweets. I need to try to remember that. I don't have a piece of paper anymore. I got a pen. Let me... I need a piece of paper. Okay, here's a piece of cardboard. Just write it on this. Okay, Texas... And that's the Texas Super Sweet, that's an onion, correct? Are they bigger peppers? Like, is it something that, like, you could eat supper with? Yeah, I'll have to check and see if they're in my seed catalog. Hey, Lakin.
Yeah.
Can you do Mommy a favor and get underneath that bookshelf
And get the catalog.
and get a couple catalogs? We're going to look and see if we can find these. I get baseball size head planted in February. Okay. So I need to probably get started if I'm going to. Has anybody ever got any seeds out of Botanical Interest? I ordered their catalog. And they have one of the prettiest catalogs. Let me see if I can find the onions. What are these? Those are beets. I'd like to grow carrots too. So does anybody have a suggestion for good carrots? Well, where's the onions in the... Okay, onions. What do they have? Texas Early. Yellow Sweet Spanish Utah. Is what they have in Botanical Interest. Oh, they've got some on this side. Okay. Flight of Italy. Here's the Walla Walla. The Walla Walla get really large, and so that's why my number one thing was when I was thinking about it. You get your plants from feed store. We have a greenhouse, but they don't open until after, they usually open around Mother's Day. And usually by Mother's Day, they don't have any plants, but just like flowers. I'm going to check in this catalog and see what they have in the way of onions. There's shallots, so onions are probably close. Let's see. Anybody else want to, there's 6 people on here. If anybody else wants to chime in on what their favorite onion or carrot is, I'm all ears. Those are shallots. Where are the onions? I thought that the onions would be close to the shallot section. I'm not. This is the Burpee catalog. Half long. Okay. Are they? What kind of carrot are they? Like, are they like an orange carrot? Okay. Onions. They have in the Burpee catalog. They have Short Day, Georgia Queen Hybrid, Texas Super Sweet. That's what you were talking about, wasn't it? The Texas Super Sweet. It says jumbo yellow skin globes that have white flesh, produces plentiful harvest at softball size. Okay, I went ahead and circled it. And in this book, it is 125 plants for $29.95 if anybody's interested. That's the Texas Super Sweet. Also in this book, they have the Walla Walla, the Candy Hybrid. I've heard of the candy ones. They've got the Candy Hybrid and then the Red Candy Hybrid, Long Day, Big Daddy Hybrid, Patterson Hybrid, and Blush Hybrid. And then they've got the green onions if you like green onion. I'm allergic to green onion, which sounds crazy because I can eat onions. But when I eat green onion, I didn't know it until I was an adult, but my throat starts closing up. It doesn't get really severe, but my tongue starts itching and I can feel my throat closing up. I don't know why. But that is the only food that I believe I'm allergic to. And I don't think I would have ever realized it until I was an adult. Well, I'm allergic to oranges. Hey, girl. Hey. Working. She says she's working, but she's here. I appreciate you taking time out of your day. You're eating. Chives do you that way, too. Yep. Yep. Gonna try leeks. I've never had a leek. Never had a leek. Actually, you know the only time, I don't think leeks are like traditional around here, like it's something that we eat. It's so funny. There's a cartoon called Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. And there is, I think it's Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2, where there's like a little character that's a leek in the movie. I got your patient in the bed. Bless your heart. It's a hard road to toe being in the public service. Here's carrots. Is that carrots? What are those?
They better be carrots.
I don't know what those are. Parsnips. Does anybody grow parsnips? Good in soups and stews. That's interesting. He said, what is a leek? Yeah, I didn't know either. What am I even looking for in here, y'all? I done forgot. Onions. Was it onions? I was trying to see what was in the Seed Saver catalog. This is, if we buy seeds, we usually get them from here. Just so you know, they're a reliable seed source. And they, if you're looking for more Appalachian type green beans, I know people love Kentucky beans. If you're looking for more Appalachian type beans, then this is your seed catalog. This is the seed catalog for you. Let me see. What do they have in here? Has it... Okay. What are you talking about, Karen? Did I miss something? Oh, she said it's what you have in your water line. A leak. I thought I missed something. Oh, goodness. Here it comes. She gonna have me dead the whole time. She's gonna have me dying. What was you were talking about peas. What's your favorite pea? Ark Wildman. You had told me, but I think you told me. But here's beets. So beets, they have the albino, early blood turnip, burpee golden, Detroit dark red, and I'm not even going to try to say that name. Purple hull. Let me see if I can find them in here. Because now I'm curious. Now, we don't really like beans, or, we don't really like peas. We're not pea. I will eat peas. Here's some turnips. Was anybody talking about turnips? They have turnips as well. They have the, let me see, purple top white globe. They're pretty. Let me see. Purple hull are the best. So Karen grows purple hull. Do you grow purple hull, or have you just had purple hull? Karen's a garden girl. She loves the garden. Also, guys, on a live, I talked about these I've circled them. Double yield cucumbers. Has anybody grew double yield cucumbers? Because I want to grow double yield cucumbers. It says that they, like, once you pick them, they'll grow more. And they're a pickling cucumber. They only grow 4 to 5 inches long. She says she buys them off the Amish, as they would say. Trying to... Has anybody grew these? The little cocomelon things? I've seen YouTubers growing the cocomelons. Curious about them. What do they taste like? I've heard they taste like cucumbers. Whippoorwill peas. I've never heard of those. Are they a heirloom? It sounds like an heirloom name. That's why I asked. Okay, here's the onions. That's what I was looking for this whole time. And they've got the okra next to them. So they've got the Cajun Jewel okra. Cocomelon. Oh, I hate that show. Golly, Karen.
I like it.
Do purple hull eat whole or shelled peas? Whippoorwill peas. That's interesting. He said they're heirloom. They're hard to find. Do purple hull. Somebody had to answer. Karen or Ark. Or do you eat the purple hulls whole or shelled? Are they a shelled pea or a whole pea? Okay. The okra, they have... Let me see. Clemson Spineless, Hill Country Red, Red Burgundy, Silver Queen, Simpson, and Star of David. I think we grew Star of David last year. Huh. He said they're shell peas and you can make jelly out of the hulls. Karen, you can make jelly out of them. So if you're wanting to grow them next year, they sound like a versatile pea to grow, which you might have already knew that. I don't know. Okay, so in the way of onions, they have Alyssa Craig, Long Red Florence. Sorry. I'm getting dry. Red Weathersfield, Ruby Red, Walla Walla, Yellow Parmara, and Zebaru. Y'all ever had corn jelly? It's so good. I've never had corn jelly, but I've had corn relish. And it is delicious. Very good. Has anybody had corn jelly? Has anybody had corn relish? Okay, guys, I'm on to the peas. So they have Amish snack pea, Billy Jumps soup pea, Champion of England, Golden Sweet, Sutton Harbinger, Green Arrow, Swisson Swedish, Green Beauty, and Tom Thumb. Corn cob jelly. I'm learning all kinds of stuff. He said, I clearly live under a rock. I've never heard of half of this stuff. You boil the corn cob. After you take the corn off boil it for like an hour, and then add pectin and sugar. Tastes like honey. That's interesting. Dandelion jelly tastes like honey. I've had dandelion jelly. And we have redbud jelly too. And it doesn't taste like honey, but it's good. If you're interested in bell peppers, they have the bullnose bells, chocolate beauty. They got all kinds. Oh my goodness. There's 3 pages. Probably not going to read all those. Let me see what I've grown. I've not grown any of those. King of the North. I've grown King of the North, guys, and they're wonderful. A wonderful pepper, and they are good. The reason why they're called King of the North is they're good for up north. I just grew Kentucky Wonder. We made 12 pints. It was gone fast. Everybody wanted it. Yeah. Yeah, that's very interesting because I have never heard of corn jelly. And now I'm going to have to see if I can find a video on it. And hopefully maybe try to make it. Because I feel like that's something that we would love. I feel like that's something that everybody in my family would love. Y'all need to, if you haven't had corn relish, look up corn relish. Look up a recipe for corn relish. It is delicious. My husband's aunt made corn relish, and she gave my mother-in-law a jar, and we can't stay out of it. Pepper jelly is another good thing too. Have you all ever had pepper jelly? It's delicious. Yeah, that's very, because we just give our, we give our cobs to the chickens. So instead of wasting the cob, you said, what'd you say? You said you boil the cob down, boil cob. After you take the corn off, boil it for like an hour, and then add pectin and sugar. Tastes like honey. Okay. Corn relish is delicious. Yeah, corn relish is delicious. I've never heard of corn cob jelly. I've never heard anybody talk about it. So, that's super interesting. I love hearing, you know what? That is so resourceful. That is a resourceful way to get the most out of your garden. So that's amazing. You have to drain it after you boil to make sure no corn in it. Okay. So you're essentially just using the liquid off the corn. We've never been able to grow enough corn to actually, in our garden, to can solely out of our garden. We have to buy corn by 50 pound bags. And so, where we buy it by the 50 pound bags, I have quite a few cobs left over. And that makes me want to buy more to make to make corncob jelly. I'm gonna have to ask Andy about that because I don't think he's ever heard of it. And he knows a lot of he's heard of a lot of things. That's so interesting. I'm like I didn't even know that was a thing. I love learning new things. This is amazing. It's so cool. Now I want to like question everybody on it. See, Andy had the blessing of growing up with his grandparents. And they lived, his grandmother was in her 80s. His other grandmother was 96 when she passed away. Yeah, it sounds crazy. Yeah, that's awesome. So he had the opportunity to be with his grandparents and be able to learn different fun things from them. Different ways of making things. He ate old people food because he was raised around his grandparents. I wasn't raised around my grandparents, and so I didn't have the opportunity to learn those things from them. And to me, corncob jelly just sounds like something that like something that you would pass down to your grandkids. Like you would, tell your grandkids, we're going to can corncob jelly, to make, to save the corncob. Okay. Hold on. I've missed a bunch of messages, I think. Okay. I just grew Kentucky Wonder. Let's see. I missed it. We didn't either till last year. Now it's a must-have every summer. I mean, California Wonder bell pepper. Yeah, did we grow California? I think we grew California Wonder last year. It was California something, and it did the best out of all of our it was one of the number one pepper plants that did the best out of last year. I think it was Californian something. If you like honey, you will love corncob jelly. I buy my sweet corn from the Mennonites. Dad grows field corn. Okay. Hominy corn. I make it the old way. There is a man that's local to our area that has, he grows two things. He grows strawberries that you can come to his farm and pick strawberries, and he grows corn. And it was very interesting. We had found him a couple years ago when we sold produce. And we wanted to find somebody local to get enough corn for our produce stand. And we found him because my husband grew up in the area where he lived, and he told us the story as to why he grew corn. And the story is that he had two young sons, and they had decided that they wanted to sell produce. And they got their own corn together, they got their own produce together, and they started a garden to grow produce for themselves as boys, young boys. I think he was, like around the 7-8-year-old range, somewhere in there, maybe a little bit older. But that's how they got into selling produce off their farm, such as the corn and the strawberries. He's older now. He's an older man. He's probably in his 70s. His boys are grown. They have children. But it was very interesting that's how they got started selling produce. And him still now in his 70s, he sells the corn and the strawberries, and he goes, to the farmer's market, and that's what he sells. That's what he provides. And he, his corn is organic, and his strawberries are organic. They don't spray them or anything like that. And so that's where we get our corn. And he sells it, he'll sell it a baker's dozen or he'll sell it in the 50-pound bags. And so when we were selling produce, obviously we would buy it in the 50-pound bags, or we will we will buy the 50-pound bags to put up. I didn't do it last year. We don't have any corn that is canned, which makes me really sad. But we were super busy last year, and we were not able to get in contact with that guy. How do you store it? Freeze or can. The corn, we freeze it and we can it. Both ways. Now here's the kicker. Bless my husband's heart. He doesn't like corn frozen or canned. And we've tried it. We tried freezing it. He doesn't like it canned. And we've tried freezing it in different ways. We've tried blanching it and freezing it. We've tried not blanching it and freezing it. And either way, he likes. I honestly like it better canned than frozen. Because I feel like from frozen it gets mushy in the process of trying to defrost. Some people love it that way, some people don't. But that's my opinion on it. I like it canned. The only way my husband likes corn is fresh. The only way my daughter likes corn is fresh. They'll eat it like corn relish and things like that, but they don't like corn cut. Mostly, he's not American. He doesn't like corn cut off the cob in general. He likes corn on the cob. And I'm gonna tell him you said he wasn't American, Karen. I'm gonna tell him that we were having a conversation the other day. My father-in-law hates chicken and dumplings. Will not eat them. And somebody said, can you even call yourself country if you don't like chicken and dumplings? And that made me think of that. You said he wasn't American. I freeze and can. I do whole corn and cream style. I've never done cream style. And that goes back to the fact that my husband does not like cream corn. He only he will eat it, like he can tolerate it, but he only likes. In my house, he can be picky, like if he's eating at somebody else's house, he can't be as picky. But I thought we was friends. Listen, Karen, when you're married, and somebody says, don't tell nobody, you don't tell anybody but your husband. Like, I don't know how people, that made me think of that because I don't know how people